Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're gonna have a little bit of Fruit Machine emulation nostalgia for this video. Wasn't the video I was intending to make this week, but it kind of came out of nowhere, and it's all to do with that shiny new introduction, which you've probably seen on the channel already if you're up to date with the videos, and it's that snazzy little intro that was at the start of this video. And I have been thinking about having an intro for the videos on my channel for a little while now, because Cheerful Pessimist, of course, did snazz up his channel with this fella here. There we are. So this thing, there we are. So I do keep up with Cheerful Pessimist channel and On a Bucket's channel, and when he got that shiny new intro there, part of me thought, you know what, I should probably get one of those for myself. He was quite upfront about the fact that, you know, he just bought it. There are, you know, services out there that you can go to, and they will make an intro for you. I thought, yeah, that looks quite snazzy, a little bit of channel identity, I should go for that. But the reason I never quite did it is the problem is it just doesn't have anything to do with what... God, I actually misspelled Cheerful Pessimist there. Sorry, CP. There we are. That looks better, doesn't it? So, because if you actually look at that, let's just watch it again. Matrix background. You've got his little icon. You've got his name. But the thing is, if you looked at that intro, you'd have no fucking idea what the channel was actually about. And to me, an intro should say something about what your channel is. It's like a 10-second snapshot to give people a little bit of an idea about what your channel is all about. So I was kind of thinking of going away to one of these places that will make one for you, but the reason that I didn't do it was entirely that. It was just, well, you know, yes, I will get this snazzy 3D fancy lights and swishy effects and all the rest of it, but it won't really say anything about what my channel is about. So then I got it in my head, well, okay, what I should possibly do then is make an intro for myself, and if you just watched a 10-second intro, you'd have an idea about what the channel you're watching covers, you know, what the topics are that it covers, because my channel basically... it's Fruit Machines, it's Fruit Machine emulation, it's online slots, and it's video games. But as is often the case, an idea that pops into my head may not necessarily come to fruition in any kind of meaningful time frame. So the idea has been bouncing around in my head ever since Cheerful Pessimist added that introduction to his videos. Either I should buy one in and see if there's some way that I can ask the service that makes it for me to make it a little bit more customized and dealing with what the topic of my channel is, or actually sort of making one for myself. And I've been in that kind of stasis now for many, many weeks, and of course absolutely fuck all has happened about it. And then, just the other week, this landed in my inbox. Oh, fuck! That's gone all fucking stupid VLC. I couldn't... you fucking... why's it fucking... oh, God, you stupid bastard piece of software. I want to keep that in just to demonstrate my sheer incompetence at using basic software. There we are, right. Okay, so what happened is, I got a message completely out of the blue. This is the weird thing about this. I'd just been thinking about in my head I should get an intro for my channel. I hadn't articulated this thought to anyone else. I hadn't posted anything about it anywhere. It was purely in my own head I should get an intro for the channel, and that was frankly as far as it had gone. And yet the spookiest thing happened, and I got a private message on Facebook from a long-time member of the Fruit Machine emulation scene. He's been around basically since day one. And he was basically just saying, oh, I just made an intro video for your channel, if you're interested in using it. And the message was from this chap here, Fishsta. Now, if you've been around on Fruit Machine Emulation for a long time, as I have, and I know as some of the viewers of the channel have, you will know this guy. He has been around pretty much since day one. Oh my God, Fishsta, you haven't updated your site in over 5 years. We've had each other as friends on Facebook for a long time now. We've kind of kept in touch sort of on and off over the years. We kind of know where each other's lives are up to, as it were. And it was him who just sent me a private message on Facebook. So, you know, I've spent a little bit of time working on this. Let me know what you think. Do you like it? So I messaged him back and said, I certainly do like that. That's very nifty. I'd quite like to use that on future videos on my channel, if you don't mind. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what it's for. And the only issue with it really was that it was at quite a low bit rate, so the video quality was fairly low. So I said, look fella, hope you don't mind me asking it, but could you just re-render that out again at a higher video quality? Other than that, I think it's absolutely spot on. He said, yep, no problem. And then he just WhatsApped it over to me as an attachment. WhatsApp is quite useful for things like that because it goes way over like the email attachment limit or the Facebook message attachment limit or anything like that. So I then had the high quality version of that intro, and I have now been putting that onto the front of all of my edited together videos. Now, you can actually tell if I'm doing a lazy Bandicam pause unpause job or a proper edited together video, because if it's a proper edited together video, it will have Fishsta's intro on the front of it, and if it's just a Bandicam pause unpause job, it won't, because that doesn't go through the editing suite process. And going forward, if you don't see Fishsta's nifty little intro on my videos, that will be because it hasn't actually been edited together. So thank you very much to Fishsta for passing that intro over to me. It was the weirdest thing that I'd been, you know, the channel's been going, 10 months now, and for the first time in the last sort of few weeks I'd been thinking about, I should get myself one of those nifty intro things, and absolutely out of nowhere, completely unprompted, he just sent me a message on Facebook and said, here you go, what do you think of this? So fab stuff. So then I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to have to do a little thanks for him on the channel, because quite a few people have commented on the intro already, in the comments for the videos themselves, and also on a couple of forums that comments to the effect of, I like the new intro, that's quite funky. So obviously I was going to have to thank Fishsta publicly on the channel for going to the trouble of making that introduction. So my initial sort of thoughts on it would just be like a 2 or 3 minute job, just to let you know there is a new intro on the videos, and it was this guy who did it. He's been around on the Fruit Machine emulation scene forever, thanks to Fishsta. But as I started to sort of flesh that out in my head, what that would look like, it then became far clearer to me that, hang on a minute, there's a nice little opportunity here to have a delve back into the Fruit Machine emulation scene archives, and therefore what I have decided to do is turn this video into a proper little route through the archives, as it were, go back to year 1 of Fruit Machine emulation, and also centre it around Fishsta himself, because he did quite a lot of cool stuff in the realms of Fruit Machine emulation in those early days, and indeed he is still around today, 17 years later now. So Fruit Machine emulation as a scene has been around for a long time now. Now, you may have already had sight of some of the material in this video if you're a regular over at Desert Island Fruits. This was a thread started earlier in the year by Niall Quinn, who dug a couple of things out of the archives, including a year 1 of Fruit Machine emulation PDF, and there's some real old, oh my god, I'm gonna have fuck me, I forgot Viv's arse was in there. It's okay, I'll put a Gaussian blur on this, fucking hell. 17 years later, Viv's arse is still my word. So going down the list here, yeah, there's a few of us still around from the early days. Let's have, oh god, there's some memories here, isn't there? Oh, dearie me. And who's that fucker there, little Harry Potter bastard, right? And going down the list here, yeah, you can see... Now, this was all done by Fishsta himself here. So these are some of his Photoshop jobs from back in the day. And one of the things that came out of this was the Year 1 PDF of Fruit Machine Emulation. So you are going back... This will be, I guess it would have been created in 2002. And it was, you can see a lot of input from some of the earlier members of the scene and people describing their first impressions, their first encounter with the emulator. Really interesting one here, which is a very early screenshot of the MPU34 emulator as MFME was known back then. And can you see here, this is the earliest screenshot. This predates any of the earliest versions of the emulator that I've got. And if you've watched Fruit Machine Emulation Histories Part 1 and Part 2, you will know that by the time I got on board, things had progressed well past this point. Can you see there are absolutely no graphics in there whatsoever? And the reels are represented by just a text box that says like cherry and grape, that kind of thing. So this is a very interesting document here. It is available to download over at Desert Island Fruits, which if you've got any kind of interest in Fruit Machine emulation whatsoever, you really should be a member over at Desert Island Fruits. It's a great site. And Fishsta himself recalls in that article that he was first made aware of Fruit Machine emulation via this article in PC Zone, where not everyone's favourite person, I know everyone has a different opinion of Stu Campbell, but Stu Campbell did do quite a lot to bring the emulator to public recognition, because this article appeared in, a major print magazine of the time called PC Zone, and he had a column in there that he wrote every month called Emulation Zone. And in this episode, this would have been June or July 2001, Emulation Zone covered Fruit Machine Emulation MPU34. This had a circulation of, tens and tens of thousands of copies of this were sold every single month. And you can see there, it's an article about Fruit Machine emulation. We've got screenshots of the emulator in action, and we've also got a picture there of the very first DX layout as well, which at the time was, I believe, the only one that we had. It was the first DX mod, as it was referred to, in existence. And you can see there's a couple of links that he's put there to my old site and also the MSN Fruit Machine Emulation community, because I believe that they were the only two public sites available when Stuart wrote this article, but of course several other sites popped up soon after that. And there was also a follow-up article 2 or 3 months later, which was reporting on how things had been going. I won't sort of read through the article there. You can pause the video and read it for yourself. But this was when Empire came on board and were kind of openly sharing their ROMs with the emulation scene. And you can see there, I will just read this bit. The author of MPU34 has just released a version of his emulator that finally opens up the development tools to all, rather than just a select few coders. So that's of course referring to the fact that early on in the Fruit Machine emulation scene, the development tools were not publicly available. There were only a small number of people who had access to the development tools, but once Wizard released the version of the emulator with the development tools included, rather than just the ability to play the games themselves, that really did open the floodgates to all of the creators on the scene, some of whom are still around today. So, what did Fishsta actually make in the way of layouts? Well, quite a few as it happens. He does still have a live web page here, albeit not updated for a while. You can have a visit. yourself there. It's a nice easy URL. It's just fishsta.co.uk/fme.html, so you can go down the list there. He did make quite a few different things, and there's a couple of them that I am going to do. Remembers Fruit Forum's golden rule, my goodness me. I'm going to go through a couple of them now. Some of these are quite significant because he used the MERC layout creation tools. Before it was possible to design your own layouts in MPU 3.4, there was an interim layout creation tool called MERC, released by a chap called DialTone, who then went on to code the JP emulator, the one that emulates JPM machines or impact technology machines. And that allowed some people to get their foot in the door with layout creation early on, and Fishsta was on board with that. And then once the actual development tools or design tools were released as part of the emulator, he then did do a couple of really cool things, which I'm going to cover specifically now. And if you can see this one here, Chase Invaders DX. So it was a DX layout for a really good Barcrest machine actually, called Chase Invaders, which I probably should have included, come to think of it, in my When Barcrest Ruled the AWP World video, because this was a great example of a start to finish trail machine with a £6 jackpot. But the key thing here is what Fishsta did with the perspective reels. Now you can kind of see it there in that screenshot. At the time, if you look at the screenshot above that, which is for the classic layout, can you see there how the reels are just completely flat? There was no perspective or anything like that. They were just completely flat. And the only thing that you could really change was how many stops were visible. But what Fishsta did is come up with this, and the great thing is I've still got the layout and I've still got the version of the emulator that will actually run this, so we can see it for ourselves. So here it is just booting up, which might be quite a good way to see it. You can see there how he's got, albeit, yes, I guess by modern standards it would be considered fairly crude, but you've got to put this into the context of when he did this so many years ago, and we had never seen anything like this. Let's just put a pound in. If you see the reel spin there, you can see there that shall we go for a hold? Oh, hold after nudges for jackpot. Slightly ambitious. Let's get on the board. I should have done really... Oh, 3 holds for jackpot. They could do this. Oh, we've got to put another pound in now. Go on. Oh, no 3 holds for jackpot. We'll hold the feature. But you can see there those perspective reels, which were really very impressive. Oh, we'll have that. We'll have a feature. There we are. Let's see where we get up to. Energize. It could be a right bugger with this. With the... So I've got £3 there. You should probably collect £3, but let's just see where we can get up to. Oh, isn't that the Bar Wars? Isn't that the kind of wind spin feature? Let's have a look. I've got it in my head that this one could be all right. It's like a streak feature. Oh no, it's not. Is it the next one up? Oh, Degsy's fucked it there. Sorry. I know you find that hard to believe that Degsy's fucked it, but yes, he has. Oh, just hoping we might get a hold on the jackpot symbols there. Let's have a look, see if we can just get onto the board again. But you can see there as the reels are spinning round, and that should hold. No. As the reels are spinning round, and if you go into design, where is it? Reel editor. It's a really clever way that he's done that. There are details. You can still read the details on his site here. He's got an explanation of what he did. But in essence, every single reel symbol, so every single stop, normally for each of those 16 stops, you would just have one symbol. So that would be a single bar or a red 7 or a treble bar or whatever. And what Fishsta actually did here was that he made every single symbol. If I click on there, you can see he's made them all 5 symbols high, and then manually added the perspective. So the emulator doesn't think that it's doing anything other than just displaying a normal single image, because Fishsta has brought them in looking like that. And that gives you what it has to be said is a pretty fucking cool perspective effect to give you that impression of a sort of circular reel. And I did cover this on the Hovel back in the day, and this is from the 6th of July 2002. So we're going back well over 16 years here. This was after the classic had already been released, and just giving Fishsta some credit here. At the time, I didn't actually understand exactly how he did it, so I just described it as some frightening kind of black magic. To be honest with you, I think this probably deserved a little bit more of a shout out than it got. However, at this period of time, 2001-2002 was the last vestiges of some of the suboptimal behaviour that I have described in previous videos from my more chaotic years. So without going into too many details, there were some times I was writing updates for the Hovel where I was not entirely in the best state, and I'm afraid this looks like one of the updates that I just kind of crapped out because I wasn't in much shape to do anything else. But in fairness, this should have got a little bit more credit than it did. And another really cool thing that Fishsta did in this era was the first implementation, albeit a slightly cheaty implementation, of horizontal reels, and it actually got him a shout out from Wizard himself for coming up with a cool solution to a problem, because the real bankroller machine has a horizontal reel for the pound signs that can drop down. Let's just have a look there. Now that's what let's just zoom in a little bit there. That is how Fishsta did it on this layout there, and you can see those pound signs there, the bundles of notes rather. On the real machine, they move horizontally on a horizontal reel, and then as they land, they drop down. But at this time, the emulator didn't actually support horizontal reels, and what Fishsta set about doing was creating a sort of hack, a workaround, if you will, to make horizontal reels something that could be represented in the emulator. So here is a modern DX of Bankroller, and you can clearly see that reel there moving horizontally to represent the notes. But that wasn't a thing at this time. Horizontal reels weren't a thing. And I will just read out Fishta's description of how it came to him. So he says, horizontal reels were considered to be impossible at this point, and it came to me partway through a works night out where I was quietly sitting with a pint and watching the Fruit Machine in there. I suddenly thought just how I would get horizontal reels to work. I twigged that the machine didn't really know which way the reels were orientated. It was all about how we were looking at them. I claimed to be done for the night, went home, and while slightly drunk, did the alterations to the original classic layout for Bankroller to make the money reel horizontal. And here's the trick that he did to make this happen, bearing in mind that horizontal reels were not a thing in the emulator as they are now. So he created a representation of this 16 years ago. It's a really cool idea if you think about it. And he says, all I did was make it a vertical reel 3 symbols wide and make the illusion that this reel was horizontal, and it worked. Yes, and here we are. It's Fruit Forum's Golden Roll, which is listed on the site there. But yes, I still have the layout and I still have the version of the emulator that will run this. It is version 8.74 of MPU34. Few little faces from back in the day there. Shall we just put a few quid through it? And what he's trying to prove here is, I think, how far you can take the kind of that horizontal reels concept that he came up with. And as you can see, what you've got to do is match the faces up. Oh, I mean, we got the wrong head there, unfortunately. It was a really cool little idea. It's genuinely making me laugh today. This was... Oh, we've got... Shall we hold that? That's a reel there. Can we get the right head? No, we'll hold it again.
Hold it.
Go on! Oh, it's the wrong... oh, that's 3 holes, isn't it? Right, okay. We can get 3 holes there for 2 quid.
Hold it.
That should come in, I think, shouldn't it? Oh, am I not holding... Oh, I've misunderstood how it's working, I think. Oh dear. I thought I had 3 holes there for a win. Turns out I didn't. Oh, we've got a roll. Well, we're definitely going to get to see the heads match up now. Let's have a red hot roll. Let's see what we can get. Yay, there's a head. We got 4 quid. Oh, of course. Yeah, you know what? I mean, of course, that's your fucking win line in the middle there. I'm thinking about the roll symbols. Of course, they are across all of the reels, so we'll hopefully get another face on the middle reel there. Oh, it's him again. Another 4 quid. Is that it? Oh, what a shame. But they're all lined up now, so we can see. Yeah, I'm sure we recognise those faces from back in the day. Let's just play these credits out.
Hold it.
So, yeah, I've got my eye in now with how... It's a weird way to play a Fruit Machine, this. Right, but it does work. It's functional. And we'll collect our 8 quid out at the end of it. So, yeah, that doesn't work, of course, because that's above and below the win line, respectively. Oh, you've got to... of course, you've got to focus on the middle line there. So I was holding for nothing there, effectively. We'll collect our 8 quid out. We did quite well. We won 2 quid. And we'll just go through some pictures here that myself and Fishsta have dug out of the archives between us. You can see there his horizontal reel implementation, where he's basically made a single vertical reel 3 symbols wide, and when the emulator moves through that, it gives the impression that you've got a reel moving horizontally. It's a really, really clever little trick. He also did this layout here, which was a kind of combined classic and DX, so the lights worked on both at the same time. So you've got a classic on the left-hand side and a DX on the right-hand side. This was one of his as well, the Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Fruit Club Band. A lot of familiar faces from early on in the Fruit Machine emulation scene there. I certainly don't like the look of that fucking Harry Potter motherfucker up front, that's for damn sure. I think the less said about that one, the better. Fortunately, the zippy head there is to protect the guy's modesty. Over the plug, that was something else as well. There are a couple of variations on the over the moon layout. We've got Fruit Machine Emulation's take on Reservoir Dogs. And also coming out of the thread over at Desert Island Fruits, I'm sure a few of us remember Ranting Maniac. I do not know if this guy was a genius or a genuine maniac or somewhere in between. He did these kind of little montages where he played all the parts in these sort of stories, and they were strange, disturbing and amusing, I would say, in equal measures. So there you go. I will round this one up now. It's just my way of saying thank you to Fishsta and paying tribute, if you will, to one of the finest chaps on the Fruit Machine emulation scene. He was always a gent. He didn't get too involved really in some of the, shall we say, ructions that plagued the scene in those early days, and generally tried to play the role of peacemaker. Genuinely nice bloke. I'm happy to have him as a friend on Facebook. We WhatsApp each other. We have kept in touch over the years, and he is happily married to a lovely lady, and they're totally into each other. It's really nice to see that. You know, when nice things happen to nice people, it just gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. And because, you know, Fruit Machine Emulation, you've got to remember that for a lot of us, Fruit Machine Emulation was almost like a group therapy session. Not all of us, but many of us were coming into that as almost confessional addicts, you know, and all the attendant problems that can bring in your life. So it's always really uplifting to see that many years down the line, someone who you really liked and respected back in the day, everything's worked out for them and they're in a good and happy place. So thank you very much, Fishsta, for everything that you did for Fruit Machine Emulation, and also for the snazzy new intro that will be going on all of my edited together videos going forward. The thing that I really liked about it right from the start was it covers everything that this channel is about. You've got Fruit Machines in there, you've got Fruit Machine Emulation, you've got video games, you've got online slots, you've got the 3 legs of man, and you've got a jackpot sample from a Fruit Machine. Let the good times roll, incidentally, if you didn't recognise it. All in one 10-second little hit. It was absolutely perfect. I most certainly could not have done a better job myself. So thank you very much, dude. And with that, there is just one final thing to do, which I will play us out with.
Fishsta presents a Fruit Forums Christmas.
Grab your balls like Michael Jackson, fa la 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 la. And some pelvic thrusting action, fa la 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 la. Don we now our leather jackets, fa la 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 la. Pick that crowbar up and whack it, fa la 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 la.
Rip your shirt off, show some nipples.
Fa la 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 la.
Squeeze your buns like Mr. Whipple.
Fa la 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 la. You'll always get a big reaction, fa la 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 la. If you grab your balls like Michael Jackson, fa la 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 la.
Merry Christmas, Bubbles.
Grab your balls like Michael Jackson, fa la